The New York Jets signed Aaron Glenn
Aaron Glenn.
in a move that everybody kind of knew was coming. Aaron Glenn, if you remember, well, depending on how old you were, you remember played with the New York Jets back in the day. Had the baggy sleeves, not the spandex sleeves that everybody wears now. Had the baggy long sleeve T-shirts sleeves out there goon squadding it up. Very intense player, and his introductory press conference was super intense. Basically said this is going to be a huge undertaking to turn this team around, but we're from New York. We're the New York Jets. We've been through hard times. We're built for it. So I like that because he's establishing precedent. Hey, y'all know y'all suck. We've been bad for a while. We know that it's going to take a lot to turn this around, and I'm going to have to get rid of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Freeman and basically try to keep Quinnen Williams and Garrett Wilson. I've got to figure out. That's his first thing, is to figure out how he's going to keep those guys. So I hate that Glenn, from the black guy's perspective. I know you hate him going to the Jets, but if there's anybody, he wanted to go to the Jets because he's tied to the Jets. So I'm not really upset about it.
Yeah. So for me on this one, he came in. He said, "We're the freaking Jets. We built for this shit." I like that. I think the first thing you got to do is clear Aaron Rodgers out of there. And then I think that, he's another guy who has to teach his team how to win again. You got to get used to being like going into games and not thinking we're finna get our ass kicked. That matters. That matters, especially to a professional.
Yes and no. I think that team is in a different space because they have 2 seasons of, compared to what they were. Unfortunately, it was Zach Robinson. 3 seasons, I guess. Like they're so good on the defensive side of the ball, even though they lost Albert and Salah, which again, poorly run organization. They're so good that I think Aaron, especially with Aaron Glenn being a DB and knowing how to coach defense, I think Sauce Gardner, and if they do keep Woodson on the other side, if they do keep those 2 guys, they're going to be crazy in the secondary. And plus, Quinnen Williams is one of those guys that you don't have to teach. So he's already good.
This is kind of tricky to me.
That's your favorite
This
line.
team, because I look at the black, white, and the gray. This team does have a solid roster. It's got enough of a solid pieces. Still got Brees, Garrett. Like, it's not a team. It's not like going to the Saints and being like, what do I do here? This is a salvageable team. The issue is it's still top-down leadership. Will the Jets brass get out of the way and let Aaron Glenn run this program how he wants to run the program?
I would assume so. Because they're at the point now, Aaron Rodgers has put them in such a situation to where Garrett Wilson is upset, Sauce Gardner's upset, Quinnen Williams isn't happy, Brees Hall is upset. Brees Hall, y'all don't remember, we talked about it. Brees Hall was mad he wasn't getting as many carries. Like, you have all of those things, and now you bring in a new guy. Hopefully, you can salvage those relationships. But he's got to hire. I think he's already hired his offensive coordinator. I think he took the QB's coach from Detroit.
See, and that's where I get frustrated is black coaches always go in and do these PR jobs after. I don't blame this on Salah as much as I blame this on Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson. Salah had nothing to do with this. Salah was making a game plan when he got fired.
But Woody Johnson, are you going to get out of the way? You got to get out of the way. And the man is also the guy who runs Johnson & Johnson. So I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure on what he's going to do or willing to do or not do.
Yeah. So I'm happy, excited to see what Aaron Glenn does. This is one of my teams. I'm already gonna let y'all know now before we get to the draft, before we get to free agency, before we get to all of those things. This is one of my teams to make one of the bigger turnarounds of the year. We just got to see what they do at quarterback. but I think he's going to have that defense. He's learned a lot from Dan Campbell. I think he's going to build a similar team to Dan Campbell. They already have like half the roster that they need to build a Lions roster. So I think that they could do it.
Question would, don't forget, they still have Jordan Travis from Florida State. And this is another team that might get into the field sweepstakes. I'd be intrigued to see what Justin Fields looks like.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Give me that. And yeah, that might be a workable, if you can get Justin Fields, and then you could pay Justin Fields $20 million. You was paying Aaron Rodgers like 35, 40. That's a whole nother legitimate player you can go get.
Another you could go get. They already said that they're already interested in T. Higgins to pair with Garrett Wilson. So it was like,
right.
As soon as they said that, I was like, well, they got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. Now, don't be stupid like the Giants and assume that you want to go get Derek Carr. You already done by firing Robert Saleh, who is now going back to San Francisco as to be the defensive coordinator, and which is what they needed.
Kirk Cousins.
Who?
Wait, hold on. What should they do? Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, my friend. We in for it.